The company RideRiptide electric skateboards have been around for roughly a year now, and they've been doing a great job getting their name and products out there in the e-skate market. My first e-skate related video was actually a review of the Riptide R1, and since then I've upgraded the parts of that board to those of the R1 Elite and the R1X. I ended up getting my own brand new R1X, and I've been riding around and testing it for about 3 weeks now. In short, the R1X as well as the whole Riptide lineup has been massively improved since their launch, mainly due to one important thing that they've upgraded. Stay tuned to find out what that is and my thoughts about the R1X based on my personal experience. Before we begin, I just want to apologize for the lack of videos in the last few weeks. I've been busy with school, finals, and life. If you follow me on Instagram, I usually have more consistent content and stories if you'd like to see more there. As for this video, if you do enjoy it, I'd appreciate it if you'd give it a like and subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Anyway, onto the review. The first thing you'll notice that is different between the R1X and the other Riptide boards is the visual design. The R1X uses the same shaped deck but with a beautiful dark brown wooden finish on the entire deck. It uses a clear spray-on grip tape, which in my opinion is more than sufficient for grip and doesn't feel any different than traditional grip tape. Of course, it still keeps its kicktail, making it possible to kick the board up to make sharp turns and maneuvers, jump on or off curbs, among other tricks. You'll also notice that the wheels are now black ABEC Refly 90mm 74A durometer wheels. It's not that big of a difference compared to the green ABEC 90mm 75A durometer wheels of the R1 Elite, but they're still going to make your ride nice and comfy, especially since the Riptide uses a stiff wooden deck. The R1X also includes a full set of blue 83mm 70A durometer wheels in the box if you prefer smaller wheels. I didn't test these wheels, but you should expect higher torque, but with a lower top speed of around 20 miles per hour instead of the full 22 miles per hour. The R1X also comes installed with a full set of shred lights for the front and back. In the box, you'll also find an extra set of belts if your factory belts rip or stretch out. Keep in mind that the motor mounts are still non-adjustable for belt tensioning. So those are more or less all the visual differences of the board, but the R1X also comes with a new upgraded remote. The new RX remote uses a wheel instead of a stick to control the speed, and there is a more travel distance for finer tuned control compared to the original remote. Some things to note regarding the remote: my lanyard strap that was originally installed in the remote snapped the first day, and I also noticed that the plastic of the remote opens up a bit at the top when pushing upwards on the wheel. Both of these things had no effect of actually controlling the board. I just thought it was noteworthy to let you know. The remote is purchasable as an upgrade for older model boards as well, but you may be wondering, will the remote make acceleration and braking smoother? The answer is actually complicated because of the one reason I think the Riptide lineup overall has been improved. According to Riptide, the R1X and all future boards sold from Riptide will ship with improved software to the electronic speed controller, or ESC, meaning that they have improved the acceleration and braking to be a lot smoother via upgraded hardware. This is huge because my biggest complaint with the original R1 was that it had jerky, although manageable, brakes. Through my testing with the R1X, I'm happy to say that the brakes of the new ESC on the R1X are so much better than my original R1. In conjunction with the new remote, I'm able to brake with much finer control, and it allows me to feel more confident when riding. So back to the question. The new remote can make your control experience finer and nicer if you have the new ESC. Otherwise, it may not make much of a difference besides the farther travel distance of the remote's wheel. Your brakes would likely still feel the same, more or less, if you do not have the upgraded ESC. And as far as I know, people who had purchased Riptide boards before this upgrade will be unable to receive this ESC upgrade since it is a hardware change. My only warning is that the braking is still not perfect. In my experience, sometimes I found that when I was full throttling at the R1X's new top speed of 22 miles per hour and braked at those high speeds, I still felt some jerkiness from the brakes activating. So my suggestion is to let go of the throttle a little bit first to let the board naturally slow down a bit before you're able to fine-tune your brakes. I did this and it actually helped me brake with a bit more confidence at those higher speeds. It does help a lot, but this is also just really another way of me saying to pay attention to your road and surroundings, and you'll basically have no problems. I also do want to mention that I am pretty lightweight at around 120 pounds, so I believe I do feel brake jerkiness a bit more than someone who's heavier, so you may not have these issues if you weigh, say, over 140 or 150 pounds. However, in general, once you ride the board enough, you'll get used to how the board rides, as well as the brakes, regardless anyway, so I don't think these are as big of a concern as compared to before the ESC upgrade. I still do appreciate how this upgrade is marginally better than the original ESC's braking. However, keep in mind that while acceleration and brakes do feel smoother in comparison to the old Riptide, it's still not at the same level of boosted boards' refined controls. But the Riptide is also significantly cheaper than the boosted shortboard counterparts. So, the next improvement I like to mention is the new 14-mile range. The new battery in the board is the primary difference that allows the R1X to go farther and faster. I'm not going to go into too much details about this in this video because I've already done a review on the RX battery in a previous video, which you can find a link to in the description, where I do a full 15-mile range test on the new battery on my original R1. I haven't done a range test on my R1X, but I'm confident that it's also capable of reaching at least 14 miles based on my previous test with the battery. However, in short, compared to the older Riptide models, the R1X can go much farther before you start feeling the effects of voltage sag, and even with the sag, you'll have enough range to get you to where you need to go. This solves one of the biggest complaints of the R1 and R1 Elite, which was its short range. The only issue is that this larger battery is no longer airline travel safe, so you may have to consider buying a standard battery to swap out, or consider the cheaper models if you need a travel board. Besides its top speed, I think one of the things that makes the Riptide a great competitor against other electric shortboards is its portability. Even with its new battery, the R1X only weighs 14.5 pounds compared to the boosted Mini S and X weighing 15 pounds and 16.8 pounds respectively. Compared to those, the Riptide is lighter to carry around, not to mention the deck's integrated handles. The handles are super important to me personally because it actually is a really big reason of why I opt to ride my Riptide over my 4 other boards, because sometimes I just need that extra portability for situations where I know I'll be walking around a lot or if I'm taking a short trip. And having tried other and carried other electric shortboards, I think in my opinion the Riptide is the most portable electric shortboard on the market right now. Before I give my final thoughts, I just wanted to mention a few things that you guys might find relevant that I noticed in my experience. Regarding carving, because of the narrow trucks, your carves will be small and fast, unlike a board with wider trucks that will have large, longer carves. This is noteworthy because I primarily ride my boosted longboard, which I've grown accustomed to its wide trucks and wide carves. I've also noticed a clicking noise coming from the back of my board when I'm riding or rolling at low speeds, but it doesn't seem to be an actual issue when I'm riding, but I'll update you in the comments once I find out what this is and if it does become an issue, which I don't expect it to be. So in conclusion, I think the Riptide R1X is a great electric shortboard option if you're looking for something super portable that is also capable of reaching high speeds and doing long range rides if you needed to do those things. The new ESC and remote upgrade makes controlling the Riptide much smoother and with more confidence. Even if you don't need all of that, but still want a shortboard, the cheaper R1 and R1 Elite options are now also a great buy, especially because of the new and improved ESC that it ships with. However, the R1X and other upgrades do not change my opinion on what I think the Riptide boards are primarily for. I still think the Riptide boards are best when used as secondary boards, best in cases when you need its portability or when you want to use a shortboard's kicktail. Unlike my electric longboards, which I primarily ride on the streets, I consider Riptide boards a hybrid sidewalk and street board. If you're considering a Riptide as a beginner board, I suggest at least having a bit of skateboarding background before buying it. The R1X retails for $1,000, while the R1 and R1 Elite retails for $600 and $750 respectively. But because you watch this video, you can actually get any of these boards for a whole $200 off if you use the code on the screen or in the description on Riptide's website. At their discounted prices, the Riptide boards are definitely a relatively cheap, competitive, and capable option when it comes to electric shortboards. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, feel free to drop them below. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you like to see more e-skate content. My name is Brandon, and I'll see you guys next time. Heat in my vein like vernacular. Cook up the beat with a spatula. Y'all are not ready for action. I'm smoking these rappers and feeling spectacular. Making it killing like massacre. Watch out, I'm whipping my wrist. Right on my city, been pissed, but I show them love. I'm not the one that's at risk. My homie told me that when people rise up